Okay, well let's try to do the best we can.
Yeah.
And so very nice to meet you. Very nice. Yeah.
Finally.
Yes. All right. And thank you for sending the videotape, the recording. It's yeah, it's excellent. I love it. The instruments sound really good. What are those? Atoms or?
These are the Hartke from Berlin.
Oh, the Hartke.
And the heads are actually pretty new. I mean, the recording which I sent you, it was, I think I was the first one to play on these new heads. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really, really great. So I'm having difficulty to hear you. I hope we can work it out. So the solo is fantastic. On the one thing that I think will really help is take a listen to the roll. Your best roll tremolo, in my opinion, was at 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Okay.
And the reason why, we don't have to listen to it right now, but the reason why, when you go back and listen to it, it's what happens is on the tremolo itself, it just one stroke, one information, and then sustain.
Okay.
So what happens sometimes on the Etude in particular is you have a lot of single notes, and then you get to the tremolo. Instead of the tremolo sounding like another single note that's sustained, like a singer, like da 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 da, it sounds like da 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 da. There's like this kind of pitter patter, right?
Yeah.
So usually if I'm trying to describe it in a technical way, is that the second stroke of the roll is a little bit underneath, so it's not at the same level. So I want to avoid and stuff at the beginning. So I'm not necessarily accenting the beginning of the roll, but I'm more just, I initiate the roll with one sound, and then I try to immediately support that sound.
Okay.
So yeah, so the way composers go about writing these things when they want a sustained sound on percussion instruments, we call them static instruments. They don't, so what they do is they would just write, like, let's say quarter note, half note. So if you're playing bass clarinet, they would just write quarter note, half note. And if it's a timpani or bass drum and you're a composer and you want sustain through the half note, you would write quarter note, half note with a tremolo over it. Then that way you're doing the composer's wishes. So you're just quarter note, half note. It's the same articulation at the beginning, and you just support the sound.
Okay.
Yeah. And what they don't want is a change of the articulation at that moment. Then that would be using two different tonguings, which also go back to the Brahms, the opening of the Brahms. So you have you pick a consonant like D and ah, like da da, and then the sustained note is da. You don't change that, or ta ta ta, or ba ba ba, whatever that. Call it like monosyllabic, or the same information there. So take a listen to the roll. I thought was the best. It was a 136, and then just try to incorporate that to all the rolls, so that's just so there's less interruption every time you get to a roll. It sounds like just suddenly very different. But overall, the technique is fantastic, great, very relaxed. Sound is really good. You're not overplaying the instruments, so the sound is very beautiful. I can imagine it's quite powerful. The intonation is great. The drums sound very clear, getting lots of pitch. This is like for general advice on sticks. The ball sticks are great, especially with the ensemble. They have wonderful qualities. sometimes alone in a etude or solo setting, sometimes they're not the best because depending on how the felt is woven, typically the felt is woven directionally like this. So it stretches one way and then it doesn't quite stretch it very much at all the other way. And then you try to put that over a ball stick. So half the stick gets stretched out a little bit faster, easier, and the other half remains tight. So what I would do is I would play take your pair of sticks and just have one and play in the center of the drum or something where you can hear the articulation on top, and then rotate it maybe 25 degrees and then play it again, rotate it. And if you're getting different sounds, that would be problematic again for just solo rep. So what you see in the States here is sometimes more of the cartwheel type stuff, which is problematic for your technique because it doesn't allow for the sticks to rotate in your hand because you don't want to play on the seam. But if you can find sticks that suit your technique that are a little bit more consistent, I think that's going to help you out a lot for the solo passages. For the big tutti stuff, it really doesn't matter. But if you're playing an audition, you're alone, kind of behind the screen, or you're playing, single notes that are repeated, and every time it sounds a little bit, different, because the musicians are very sensitive to not only the quality of the articulation, but the consistency of the articulation. So that's something you can just think about and try to manage going forward. That's one thing for sure that could be better. So just the beginnings of the roll, your sustain is great. It's just the problem at the beginning. There's too much information, and then just some things to consider about the sticks. Just some common sense things. Just make sure it's real consistent. It looks like you have such a command over the technique, and I would hate to have the sticks themselves hold you back, making problems for you, unnecessarily. Some of the best sticks I ever had with us at one point in my education, it was these David Morby sticks, and I would get them fresh I opened them up and I'd just play, and they would just play themselves, and it was real consistent, just real easy. I didn't have to do anything. The rhythms, any rhythm I wanted was very clear. I just had to play. But after about 5 days or a week, they became loose. So the felt and the core, became like a space in there, and so it became very smacky, like every time it became very hard, unfortunately. So the way that the sticks were wrapped, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's sort of like cotton candy. It's very kind of consistent, which is great, but unfortunately it doesn't last for very long. And as it loosens up, it becomes these little air pockets in there where you get a lot of that smacky sound. So in general, what you can think about is that you can choose sticks where the sticks disappear and we hear more of the instrument. And you can use that across all the percussion instruments across the board: bass drum, marimba, vibes, kalak, all the instruments, timpani. We really want less stick sound and more of the instrument sound, if that makes sense. So in a good analogy or something, or demonstration, or the way you can think about it is when a violinist, a string player, or cellist, they go to buy a bow, they need a new bow, right? And the bows are very expensive. It can be hundreds, thousands of euro just for a bow. But the idea of the great bows is the balance and the weight, but the bow completely disappears. And that's why the ones that are the most expensive, they achieve this goal. They help the player there's absolutely no bow sound. We get maximum instrument sound and no bow sound at all. So if you buy 100,000 euro violin bow and you want to show off to your friends, hey, check out my new bow, scratch, 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 scratch. Doesn't it sound great? My new bow, scratch, 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 scratch. That's not the concept. And they're happy about the bow because it's gone. It's totally disappeared, and the instrument is going wow like that. So we want, for my advice would be for you to think about that, and start thinking in those terms, so the instruments are making most of the sound, which they are in fairness, but you do have quite a lot of stick sound, quite a lot of stick noise going on in there. And so in the long scheme of things, when you're behind a screen and you're playing for musicians that are not timpanists, and they hear one candidate where you're hearing a lot of this sound of the stick sound, and then the next candidate, the sticks are gone, but you still hear all the rhythms. Most musicians, probably all of them, unfortunately, all of them will prefer the candidate where there's less stick noise and just more, pure the instrument noise. So please think about that.
Do you have like any recommendations? I mean, you probably use totally different sticks as I do, because probably you have some favorite things from the States, and I actually...
Yeah, I have some recommendations for sure. The ball sticks that I found on the European continent that are consistently good, the Jens Peter Kappert, I found are pretty good. Raymond Kerf's is also very good, the ones in plywood. And I'll tell you why, because he's found some felt somehow, maybe, hopefully he still has it, but it's from Stuttgart, I think. And the felt is woven across this way. So it's not woven completely this way. It has more of a cross. So the ball sticks tend to last a little bit longer, and they're more consistent for longer. So those two I recommend. As far as the flannel stuff, I find Jens Peter Kappert again are the most consistent. So of course it's good balance and good. It's good for me the way I play when I'm playing with those sticks, and also the consistency. That thing I told you about, just make sure you tap in the middle of the small drum and then rotate it, tap again, rotate it, tap again, and make sure it's exactly the same sound. So for me, Jens Peter Kappert is doing good work. So I use his leather sticks and the flannel sticks from him. The ball sticks, I have Rosenthal, which, and I think if you had something, it's all about the construction and how how it's, the quality of the actual construction. So if you've ever taken apart a Rosenthal stick, it's just layers and layers and layers, and like this thing and the bag and so and you have this big pile of stuff that goes, on a stick that's like that big. It's massive, and it's like, so the best sticks have one thing in common. They have a few things in common besides the balance and the appropriate weight and all that stuff. Is the construction is extremely tight. So there's no airspace between the point where you're playing the instrument and the core. That's where you get a lot of that smack stuff, and that can happen two ways. So the construction maybe is not so good to begin with, or the second way is we play on them so long and they just become loose and they just need to be tightened up. Sometimes you can even just do it yourself. Go underneath the stick and just do it, just tighten it up. Just make sure that there's no gaps in the attack. And then, on the American side, they're a little bit heavier, so we have to do a little bit more lifting. So it's a little bit more controlled technique. But for instance, my sticks are always felt core, and there's a liner felt, and then it's like a cartwheel, and that way I keep that really tight, so there's no chance for a discrepancy of the articulation, because it's just it's well, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But just mainly just keep them tight, keep on top of it and check, before you're playing auditions to make sure that usually you can tell, you can just kind of pinch it, and if it makes a fold, if it kind of
Okay, yeah, I see.
yeah, it kind of like makes a little fold like that. That's too loose.
Okay.
Yeah. So so even your soft sticks, you don't want to have any looseness in it, and that really makes the instruments speak right away. And you hear more instrument sound and less stick sound, which I think is great, and it's very appealing to all musicians. And let's face it, when you're going to be playing these auditions, you won't be playing for other timpanists. You'll just be playing for other musicians. And everybody can hear it when something is cleaner and more beautiful than another candidate. They usually prefer the cleaner, more beautiful version of it. So it's a good thing to think about. I'm sorry to talk so long about sticks, but so the Etude was fantastic. I loved it. Just clean up the tremolos a little bit, especially at the beginnings. And when we meet, I can show you how I do that. It's more like a mental thing. It's just once you hear the sound in your head, how I think it should go like ba 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 instead of ba ba. You're so good with your playing. I think you'll get it like that. It's not a difficult thing at all. At least I don't think so. Okay, so then we heard some. So any questions about that? Any follow-up questions?
No, I think I understand, and yeah, I will try to do what you said about the tremolos and stuff, and yeah.
Okay, great. Well, let's move on to the rep. So the first thing that you played was the Beethoven 5, right? It was very good. Just watch that time at the beginning. So dun, 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 dun. This was all very good. Dun, 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 dun. Are you alternating there or just one hand?
I'm playing it in one hand.
Yeah, good. Okay. So just watch the placement of number 3 when you get to the dun, 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 dun. The 9th bar, I guess. Dun, 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 dun. Just there was something a little bit off there. And then when you get to the 8th notes, make sure the crescendo starts on the 2nd bar. So what happens is when you're going from quarter notes to 8th notes, there's a automatic, the instrument suddenly gets louder. So the first bar of 8th notes, you can just play a little bit less and then give a little bit more right where the crescendo is printed. So why don't you try that? Try 4 bars before the crescendo is printed, and then stop at basically the 5th bar of the 8th notes.
Okay.
Yeah, great. One more time for me. Yeah, that's great. That's much better. Then at the end of this crescendo, make sure that the 4th movement is the arrival. So what's happening, at least in the recording that you sent me, is you're getting to the fortissimo before the 4th movement. So if I were writing out the dictation, I would say, oh, it's fortissimo 1 bar before the 4th movement starts. And then you can actually play musically the arpeggio down, down, down. So a real arrival at the 4th movement that's not, that's suddenly more, and then leave yourself some room so that each 3 notes gets a little bit more. Yeah. So try from the 5th bar of the 8th notes. Yeah, almost. You're still arriving at the fortissimo before the fourth movement. You see what I'm saying? I want the crescendo to go and then suddenly a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So basically we're going from darkness to light, and the beginning of the fourth movement is when the light switch goes on.
Okay.
So we don't want the light switch to go on before you arrive to that. So that's the right idea. It's a little bit difficult in this format. But that is definitely the right idea, and that's great that you're playing the arpeggio. Now, the opening statement is wonderful. It's perfect. Dun, dun, ding, bum, 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 dum, ba-dum, dum, ba-dum. Then I think you can reduce, and I think you can also be a little bit more cantabile. So what I'm hearing musically is for dun dun ding dun 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 da 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 da. And so what I'd rather hear is dun dun dee dun 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 da da dun da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. And just like you did nice crescendo on the third one, right? That's great. But I think overall, reduce and be more supportive, more cantabile in those 16, lots of texture, and not so try that right from the fourth movement. Yeah, that's the right idea. I think you can reduce a little bit more, and maybe don't do such a big diminuendo on that. Can you just support through that? So the idea, what I'm trying to get you to do, what you're doing is you're profiling everything, and then you're getting out of the way. You're profiling everything, and then you're getting out of the way. What I want you to do is get overall out of the way and more support through. So it's a different concept. You're throwing it out there, you're getting all the information out, and then you're being very polite and respectful by not, through the sustained stuff, right? That's the general concept that you're going for. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. I want you to change the concept just for now, less overall and just and more support, more cantabile, less jagged and more just, and keep the same goal. Same place. Fourth movement is fine. Yeah, it's better. It's better. You're still, it's still a little bit of a roller coaster in that section. I would just like to see you take on once you get to dun 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 bum bum bum, I think you can just kind of get out of the way in general there, and then and then you're sort of crescendo. That should be getting you back almost to where you were at the beginning of the fourth movement as far as the overall like sound. But once you get that first statement out of the way, I think we can just be generally more supportive. There's plenty of opportunity to show all the rhythmic stuff, but I just want it to be a little bit smoother there. So you're getting it. It's very good. The very first couple of bars, first 4 bars, just make sure you breathe. So dun dun ding, dun 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 dun. Sometimes you're a little push through there. So just do the first 4 bars. Yeah, great. Can you do it one more time, because the video was skipping. So the time, all the time stuff that I was hoping to hear was, it's not your fault. Just one more time for me. Yeah, that's right. That's much better. And even the third note, make sure that doesn't come in too soon. Just one last time for me. This is much better. Yeah, that's great. That has a more has a more ceremonial.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes if you get to notes too quickly, it loses the weight. Yeah. So breathing is going to be really important. And then let me think back to some. Why don't you play from the. Yeah, good. So a few bars before the end, make sure that you keep the integrity of the 16th note. Starts sounding a little bit triplety. So it sounded a little bit dum ba dum ba dum ba dum. I'm exaggerating, but dum ba dum ba dum ba. Just da ba da 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 ba da. Just give me that bar. Dum ba dum ba dum. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so never lose that. That's incredibly important. You know, one thing that give me one of those bump-a-dums on the G, just like you played it, and I want to try something acoustically. So just give me one bump-a-dum. Aha, good. So don't change the pedal. And this time, instead of the stick going to your left, just release it so it goes right back up. Bump-a-dum. That's great. So what happened is when you go to the left and you go downstroke, the pitch goes flat. So try it the first way and listen to the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, but go to your left like you do. You went bump ba-dum, and you went towards your left shoulder.
Okay.
Now go straight up. Bump ba-dum. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I see.
So generally your technique is very relaxed, which is great because that allows the instruments to speak naturally. Sometimes you have a little bit of a habit when you finish phrase, you give a downstroke. And when that happens on single notes, usually the pitch goes flat. And so I don't know why that does that, but if you ever find out, let me know. And a lot of it is just being, it's like a kind of stylistic thing. It could be maybe a little bit careless, but just make sure you finish your strokes that go up in a natural way and never manipulating the stick with your hand in such a way that you're going off to the left or doing any kind of downstroke. That's when we have problems with the intonation.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Any questions about the Beethoven?
Yes, there's one thing. Actually, in the last bars, which I played right now, I think it's a like question of what you want, but for me, I really like if I do a bit of if I put a bit of accent on the 16th note and the second beat. So yam param pam param.
Yeah.
Do you also think in that way, or?
Yeah. I think certainly nothing wrong with that. Just have the conviction. These type of things make sense musically, but you have to own it. So you can't be apologetic about it. You have to just either do it or don't do it, but don't do it halfway.
Okay.
So I also do the same thing. I think of it, but I'm not, when I'm playing it, I'm trying not to be, it's very clear what the, what's happening. So it's not apologetic. So why don't you go ahead and play those I guess the 2 bars, bump ba dum, bump ba dum, bump ba dum, bump ba dum. Yeah, good. Do it one more time. This is really good. And I appreciate you coming up off the instrument for everything now. It's much better. The intonation is better. Good, good. So one thing that I would work on with you if I were there in the room, one thing that we want to avoid in Beethoven is this sense of confrontational sound. So it's difficult to tell in this format, but I can tell that the head is barking back a little bit. So this sound, don't, anytime, that means you're crossing the line. So do the passage again, it's very short, and make sure the head never gets into this angry world. So you might have to play just a little bit less, which is okay in Beethoven anyway, because it should be more like the Haydn Mozart era anyway. But if it gets that sound, try to get rid of that. See if you can do that. That's right. That's great. I can tell that's going to be much, much better. And then that way, when you're playing these auditions, you have that Beethoven sound that never gets angry or confrontational. Okay. And it's so appreciated by other musicians. And then you can save that sound for other repertoire where you need it. But that sound in general doesn't belong in Beethoven. So these are the things that I would work on with you in person, and I could try to demonstrate, and so you can understand my sound concept. But that's very important. So I'm glad you asked that question. One thing on the stick clicks, make sure, like I would do some. There's certain little things that happen for every instrument, and this is sort of a general thing. But the people that play the instruments are immune to it. So for instance, on clarinet, sometimes the reed squeaks, right? Sometimes on violin, the E string whistles. You get a sort of weird sound, and violinists are immune to it, but other musicians or people hearing that don't know that that's a problem. They're like, what's that? And sometimes on flute, you hear this extra noise that outside of the hole. And then you hear another flute player that doesn't have that, and the sound is very pure. So these things add up over time. And then you have a situation in percussion, and let's say that there's a screen and people don't know the instrument, and they think the instruments are this big, and then they hear it like some clicks with the candidate, and what usually happens is they kind of look around like, I don't understand that at all. So you have to try to really eliminate that. So one thing that helps, because I have a problem with that also, because also the way my instruments are built, the head is pulling down like this on your instruments. Mine are popped up and pulling down so the rim sticks up. So I put moleskin on the rim there, just so if I do hit it, it's a little bit minimized. But I understand the problem, and it's fun to have this little short conversation about it. But just understand that other musicians, they don't have any tolerance for that sound. So just get rid of it now going forward. Just like no more of that. Like you can put some Euro stack on and every time you hit one, you take it away or something, give you some incentive to do that. All right. Sorry for that, but it's a real practical thing. And then, yeah. All right. Then the next thing was the Brahms, right? Opening of the Brahms. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think you can be more monosyllabic about this. So I try this with just one hand. you're so relaxed and so good, and the technique is just perfect, and it looks great. You look much better than I look. However, I have a feeling that I might sound better than you, just because we want the same. So just try a few, like 2 bars. Yeah, that's good. And I like the sound quality again. Watch out for the stick noise on this one for sure. But the consistency is good, and the sound is open on the instrument, which is good. Then we have this thing where the entire orchestra is written in fortissimo, but the timpani is only 1 F. And then you have this kind of situation at the end of this where we have the 9/8 bar, and then there's a crescendo. What we want is the consistency of all the notes and still the ability to make the crescendo. So I would start kind of strong, quasi diminuendo over 3 or 4 bars, and then just be real consistent. And then at the 9/8 bar, don't do a drop down. Is that, yeah, all the notes are really, really important. So play like the first 3 bars and then go to the 9/8 bar. Yeah, that's the right idea. And one thing that will really help you in the 9/8 bar is don't slow down until after number 7. So keep it real steady. Just don't even think about budging until after number 7. That'll really help you out a lot. And yeah, let's try the 9/8 bar. Just keep it real steady until after number 7. Yeah, that's better. That makes more sense. Otherwise, you get in this situation where you so that's really good. Yeah, I think that'll be very helpful. There's an interesting mathematic thing going on here where we have this number of 52, and this is something that David Searcy told me. This is 52 is this kind of has sort of magic qualities or legendary qualities of the number itself. First of all, it's a Bell number, which are very rare, a BELL number. And also it has a lot of significance, 52 weeks in a year, 52 cards in the deck. There's a lot of 52s that happen in architecture. The columns in the Duomo in Milan is exactly 52 of them. So it's not by accident, this number. And then if you go to the coda of the first movement, you have this dun, 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 and you count up all the notes, and you have the hairpin, right? And then the last note is 52 at the coda. So it's very interesting. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because it's very important that it's like the little bit like fate, you don't want to go on a journey, go, you're going on the journey, and then take it back, and then go in at the last bar. Okay. So what we're doing is we're toning down the single forte so we can do the crescendo, and we're eliminating the need to do any kind of reduction at the 9/8 bar. Okay. So it just the musical intention is more deep and not affected. It's just very, very straightforward, and you deliver this sort of message of consistency, I guess. So we got rid of the 2 sticks, the 1 stick, 1 sound, and just very, very direct and no drop down, and timing the end of this crescendo is very good. to get the sort of almost quasi rallentando, or we have a gajic, this delayed on the G, so the G sounds fatter just by the delay of the time itself. This is all good. Any questions about this?
No, actually not. I mean, that was pretty new to me to play this in one hand because I've never seen it before. But I found it really, from the sound point of view, of course, really helpful. Like for Beethoven, of course, because of sound.
Okay, good. Yeah, see if you can find on the Berlin, the digital concert hall, see if you can find a Brahms one with Reiners playing it, and let me know. But I've seen him play that live, and he also just very relaxed, just one hand, just no.
He plays it in the bottom.
Yeah, I think it depends on the weather, but for me, I usually go for the more strident sound. But my instruments are they're Dresden drums, and the lip is a little. Those Hartke lips are very round, so they sound better in the lower register. My instruments, they sound good in the lower register, but they sound even better in that when that's because the lip is a little bit sharper. So usually what happens on the Hartke instruments, you go up in the range and the instrument gets choked off a little bit because it's not breathing. There's too much contact there at the rim and the head. So it's almost like it closes off the head. My instruments are kind of the opposite. They open up a little bit more in the tighter range. So, it's it just depends. And it, also the weather, if it's very humid, I would just do in the middle also, just because it's less problems. And does that make sense? Or okay. I know you understand this. I'm just interested to see if the people that are watching this and what are these guys talking about? So it'll be fun. Get their reactions on this. This is very esoteric, kind of like mechanic talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. What they call it, shop talk, right? Shop talk. Yeah, we're doing shop talk. Well, let's continue to the music thing, because that's what most people are interested in. Let me get a quick drink. I'll be right back. I need to get some water. I've been talking for 2 hours now. Hang on just a second. Okay. And then the next thing was also from the introduction of the Brahms. That actually, that's how I get the before I start playing Brahms 1, especially if you're nervous, if you're at an audition, right?
Okay.
And you may end up playing too slow. So you're right in the good tempo thing. It's a little bit on the slow side, a little bit. And one thing that'll really help you is before you start playing the very opening, I would go to the second entrance as you played. And when you get to the 16th notes, you dun 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 dun. Think of that tempo, dun 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 dun, and then apply that tempo to the beginning. So dun 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 dun. Ready? Boom, 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 boom. See how that tempo is just slightly faster than what you're doing. And then you get the sostenuto, which is the sustain, 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 sustain. And then because if it's too slow, it's boom, boom, boom. And also this kind of funny acoustical thing can happen with the timpani. It goes a little bit like the piano, where you push on the key and the pitch goes down. So if you're a little faster, you don't get these big with the actual sound of the instrument. So it's good in two ways. So that's how I get the tempo of the beginning. So I'm glad I remembered that. This was all fine. Take it from the 16th notes. Again, don't slow down until after 1, 2. After 5. After 5. That last bar where you're paying off the crescendo, I would go after 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, and try that. And then take my advice on the roll itself and make sure it's just one bah, and not like,
Okay.
yeah. So you can hear it.
Yeah.
That was really good. Now you're a little bit on the fast side actually, but this is not important. What is important is that roll is not. I'm trying not to. I don't want to be rude. It's not acceptable because I hear 2 strokes into it. Just you got to get rid of that. Get rid of that second articulation. Just you can do it. I know you can do it. Just play the bar before. This is all fine. So just about this tempo. Da, 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 da. And sustain. Yeah. So that was great. The attack was great, but then it just get the one attack and then support. This is good. So I think we're again doing. If you don't get too slow, just delay until after 5. So one more time. Yeah, the attack of that roll is not good. Yeah, that's good. Play the roll, and then so you've got this attack on the head.
Yeah.
Try it one time, just a slightly bit on the tips, and see if the sticks disappear a little bit. Just play the roll. Yeah, I think that's better. Play in the full forte. And one thing that helps me to be able to play on the tips, they just kind of lean forward a little bit. That's good. And just for comparison, drop the hands back where you were and play the previous way so we can just hear if there's any kind of difference even on this Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps a little bit. It's unfortunate that we have to do that, but if you put the music first and you just want to get rid of as much stick noise as possible, these little things can sometimes help. Sometimes it's just the angle of attack. Sometimes if it's just too, you can use it to your benefit also. If you need more articulation, you can play a lot flatter. But if you want the sticks to disappear, sometimes it helps just to get a little bit on the tip.
Okay.
And you can do the same thing actually for the beginning. Take the same sticks and just play a few notes. Just play the first 2 bars, and don't be so flat on the head. Just try a little bit on the tip and see if the sticks disappear a little bit more. Great, good. Now try it flat. See if there's any difference. Yeah. So even on this Zoom thing, I'm hearing a lot more contact sound when you're playing flat, and they tend to disappear. And if you combine that with the stick that's more, doesn't have any airspace in there, I think that you're going to get the most benefit. You'll get the most sound of the instrument and less of that stick sound. I think it's just really, really great. It's very appealing. All right. This was really good. And then you played some Tchaikovsky, right? Yeah, that was good. Sometimes I think that the time could be a little bit better.
Okay.
So I have an exercise for you that might really help with that. So let's just play it once for me, and let's see how it's going. Yeah, good. It's that bar that la fa da do fa da do. That's not happening. Something's happening with your time in there. So let's fix that real quick. I'll just show you what I do. So you play the same rhythm over and over again. Bum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum, and you're following along, and then every time that there's a note, you're playing forte or whatever. You can do this on a practice pad or in the center of the drum, and then every time that there's a rest, you keep playing the rhythm, but you play it pianissimo.
Okay.
So can you hear me tapping?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to solfege, and then you'll see where I'm at. Ba 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 la 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 ba 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 da la la. See what I'm doing?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just play the same thing over and over and over again, and every time there's a rest, you're playing, but you're playing pianissimo. And then I would set that up with the metronome, tick da tick da tick da, and just play in the middle of the drum or practice pad.
Okay.
Just very hard sticks, and the instrument completely shut off, so there's no resonance. And just keep track of that thing, because what happens in this syncopated bar is you're losing the underlying time. I think you're focusing on the broader picture of the time, and you're not focusing enough. There should be it's almost like a puzzle, like plug and play, where this rhythm doesn't change, and you're coming in and bum ba bum ba bum.
Okay. Yeah. I understand.
That'll really help. Okay. And I just do that on a practice pad or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't even need timpani to do that. It's just it's a mental exercise, and you can choose some slow tempos, choose some faster tempos, so that you could just get more comfortable with that, and that'll really help your time. We have the same issue in this one where you're getting to the fortissimo before the A.
Yeah.
So the try to just play these 5 notes, fa 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 la, and do a crescendo over those 5 notes, so that the A is suddenly much more.
Okay.
Yeah, one more time. Yeah, so the 2 Fs, because the way it's a much tighter sound and it's coming directly at me, and the A is a much lower sound and it's over there. You have to compensate for that. So the two Fs are already fortissimo. So try to work it out.
Okay.
Yeah, don't lose the energy though. Dun, 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 dun. Uh-huh. One more time. Fa, 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 la. That's right. That's the right idea. That's the right idea. Let me think. Yeah, the stringento is nice at the beginning. So go back to the where the allegro con anima starts on the fa 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 fa, and you're going to be sort of start out at like mezzo forte, and then do that 5-note crescendo at the end. So make sure you leave space so that you can really explode at the very end of that. Let's hear that real quick. Yeah, so that's good. So you got 5 of these in a row. I think that you're getting a little bit too loud on the 3rd and 4th one. Keep a lid on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much more exciting because we get this fa 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 fa, and then right in the fa 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 la da, and not the other way. So you just like building, and then just explode. That's much more exciting. And see the time. Why don't you play just the last 4 bars of this? I just want to check one more thing. Excellent. I'm glad we did that. I remember that. This is the other thing. So we talked about the stick clicks that people don't understand of non-timpanists. This is the other one. The muting needs to be more refined. So what happens is, you're not going to believe me on what I'm about to tell you, but it's absolutely true. So almost doesn't matter if you this is really, really important. When you're behind a screen and you muffle like that, they interpret that you're playing another note. So remember all the stick noise stuff I was talking about?
Yeah.
And they can't tell the difference between your stick playing and your hand muffling the drums. Can you believe that?
No, but yeah.
I've seen it. I've sat on so many timpani auditions and people just look around like, why is he playing? Why is Keune playing extra notes? So it happens. So do it again. And just the way I do it is a kind of feathered approach. It's very incisive, but it goes like pinky, 4th thumb, just like it kind of feathers in. It definitely doesn't go like that. It's like kind of, it's a way to shut off the sound, because if you push down, you can affect the pitch, right? You don't want to be so aggressive that you get some sort of weird, not only do you get the hand sound, but you get some overrings that can be go funny things with the pitch. So just play those bars again, and just basically don't be more careful about the sound that you're making there. Don't make any sound. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the right idea. Yeah. And it's just a weird thing, but it's, all these things add up. Yeah. You give the impression of that you care so much compared to everybody else. So these things are important. And then also, so on this last run through, so just do it one more time and make sure you don't get too tight on that last bar. Don't stylize the rhythm too much. And not too tight. Just so one more time with the good muffling, and just keep the integrity of the rhythm all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. That's awesome. One more thing that I think all you just apply to all this stuff, because unfortunately we've only heard just a few things,
Yeah.
but it's sort of make sure it's very similar to the advice I was giving at the beginning of the Brahms. Make sure that you're always playing in a place where it's present, it's beautiful, all the things that you're doing, but you have room to pay off your phrases, finish off your phrases, which you're doing at the end of this passage, for instance. But you're already at, like, say, out of 10, you're already at a 9 when you get to the beginning of the last bar. So before it, I would be sort of like 6 or 7 bum ba, maybe 6.5, 7.5 bum ba, maybe 7.5 to 8 bum ba, and now I'm approaching 9 ba 10.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So this has been great. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't know. Yeah, I wanted to ask you how you play the beginning of this excerpt. Like, I tuned the 2 Fs here because just because of the sound of the 8 notes on the beginning. This one is so tight that it almost has no sound in this dynamic. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. And how do you find it? I mean, of course, it's like it was now. It's very dangerous that both Fs are not really the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in this weather, now it's raining. And
Yeah. I would keep it on well, here's what I do. And again, it goes back to the instruments. My instruments breathe a little bit more on the top register than those do.
okay.
I also tune another F on the small drum, but I don't play it. It's just there to pick. It's like a resonator bar on the marimba, so it just kind of picks it up.
Yeah.
As you said, the problem with unisons is that if it's not exactly right, even if you're using it as a enhancer or resonance, if it's not exactly right, it can kind of pick up the bad parts of it. What's really good is open fifths. Like if you have a, big B sound or a big C, you can tune low E or low F. And then if it's off, it doesn't pick it up.
Okay.
So fifths are great. If it's a little bit off, it doesn't interfere. It just doesn't work, doesn't do anything. But when it's really on, it adds a more dimension to the sound. I would try it, get your 2 Fs, and I would have faith that the one on the D drum, the F on the D drum, the 26 or whatever, will sound good enough from a distance, especially if you're playing pianissimo. And then once you get into the tremolo, it takes care of itself. So try that. So fix your 2 Fs, and then you're not going to play on the small drum. It's just there to help out with some sound. And let's see what it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah, it does sound a bit.
Yeah, it's fine, even on this Zoom call. Hey, play the bar before the roll, and I'm sorry to be such a pain, but make sure the roll doesn't have two attacks on it. Just play the bar before and then play the roll. Thank you. Yeah, that's yeah, that's wonderful. Cool. Well, this was great. Anything else you can think of?
I think no. I think I got a lot of useful tips from you.
Okay, good. Well, if you think of something later, just send me the email.
Okay.
And text me, and if I can help you. So I'm hoping to be in in Germany, probably in Munich, the middle September. I'll be there for maybe a week or so. Where are you located?
I'm studying in Dresden,
Okay.
but otherwise I'm from Slovenia, and Munich is halfway, so I may be somewhere around in the.
Well, maybe we'll come visit you in Slovenia then. That sounds more interesting.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. My older son is he's moving to Berlin in September, I think. So I'll maybe spend some time. So I'll be in the area. So let's stay in touch. We'll stay organized, and if there's anything I can do to help you through the summer, let me know. If there's something you want to ask me about anytime, just reach out to me, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully very soon.
Yeah, let's hope for the mid of September.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. I'm planning to be there, so I hope.
Perfect.
Great. Well, thank you, and best wishes to you.
Thank you a lot.
Much health to you, and good health to you and your family, and stay in touch.
Thank you, and same to you. Yeah, we stay.
All right. Thank you. I'll gotta come visit you in Slovenia.
Perfect.
That sounds awesome. I know my wife would be really happy with that too.
Yeah,
All right.
just come.
Ciao. Take care. Bye.